Well, it's about time I review a Disney Channel show, which is something that I haven't ever done. I know I reviewed DuckTales 2017, Milo Murphy's Law, and Star Wars Force of Evil, but those were all Disney XD shows, or at least that's where they originated. This is my first ever Disney Channel original show review. Why does this matter? It doesn't, I just thought it was kind of interesting. So, Big City Greens. I really didn't expect much from this show, and with the first few episodes, it seemed as though I was right to have my suspicions. I mean, this is yet another show that was given 2 seasons right out of the bat. Those shows can turn out two ways. It can turn out like Star, but on the flip side, it can also be more like Legends of Chamberlain Heights. I don't really think any show deserves 2 seasons from the starting gate. With this review, I kind of had the same problem I had with Apple and Onion, which was finding which episode to review. The first good episode of the show, in my opinion, is Swimming Pool. That episode features 4 different plots happening simultaneously that fit really well together in an 11-minute time slot. This is something that could have easily been messed up. The problem with that episode was it wasn't really good enough to review, so I decided to keep watching the show because I knew I wanted to review it in some form. The next 2 episodes were just kind of meh. I then made some other reviews to fill in the time. Then I watched this episode, Backflip Bill, and I was like, oh my god, this is the one. Because a big reason to the appeal of this show actually is Bill. Instead of the old joke of being a dumb dad, he is actually a big family man. With that said, though, he does have his flaws, and one I'll get to, but the biggest reason behind his appeal is that he's a single parent. Now, this isn't the same situation of Duckman, where his kids don't respect him because they very much do. Cricket and Tilly are just wild childs. Cricket kind of influences Tilly, and Grandma Alice influences Cricket in not listening to their dad. This is very apparent in the episode Photo Op. Although I will give Alice this, what Bill does is just awful. Okay, awful parenting is Peter Griffin, so not that bad, but it's still wrong. Basically, he lies to his family because he wants a family photo of them at the mall. He at least has good intentions, which is another good thing about this show. Whenever one of our main characters becomes the antagonist of the episode, you can at least understand where they're coming from. They don't just do bad to do bad. From what I've seen, this show doesn't have any episodes like Mysterious Ne'er-do-well or Carl Weezer, Boy Genius. The episode starts out with Bill showing his kids how to fix a water heater. Whenever Cricket scares him, he ends up burning himself on it and falls into a bunch of boxes, which the kids look through. Cricket and Tilly find a bunch of his old gymnastics stuff whenever he was a child. As it turns out, that was always his dream to compete, but he backed out and was never able to. Grandma Alice, his mom, comes to the basement and blames Bill for backing out. Bill then agrees with her, but Cricket doesn't give up on his dad, and the next day they take him to the local community center. Cricket decides to coach his father to prove Alice wrong. And Bill is actually good at gymnastics, better than my unfit ass for sure. That is until Cricket sees Alice in the stands, and then basically turns into SpongeBob from that one episode no one really likes, The Great Snail Race. If you haven't seen that episode, basically SpongeBob overworks Gary until he sees perfection out of him, which is what Cricket does here, and Bill starts doing terrible. Bill confronts Cricket, and then this happens.
Stop it, Ma! Huh? What? Ma?
Wait, come back, Dad!
We then get the backstory as to why Bill didn't compete all those years ago. It wasn't because Alice didn't believe in him, it was because Alice overpushed him, which gave him massive anxiety. Bill doesn't work good under pressure, and this has been shown in other episodes as well. Cricket then apologizes for his wrongdoing, and Bill decides to compete.
Flip Bill. I have to go. That's okay. We've got to cut to commercial anyways.
Oh, I should mention, Tilly acts like a commentator throughout this episode, and it's hilarious. Bill then competes and almost wins. Unfortunately, he ends up missing the final flip, which causes him to end up with 6th place. And before you ask, the episode never says how many competitors there were, but I know he at least wasn't last. But he did receive the most important reward, and that was his stubborn mom to finally be proud of him, which I think was icing on the cake, as his dream had finally came true.